Windward and Kyle, Part 2. In this game, we will be playing Starcrossed, the two-player game of Forbidden Love by Alex Roberts. Alright, so this one's a little bit beefier than the last one that we extended out into an hour. This is an interesting game that is about relationships and the tensions between people trying to fall in love in a world trying to keep them apart. Although in this case, we're going to be playing one person desperately trying not to fall in love and another person trying to get them to.
Sort of. Yeah.
Yeah. We've talked through a lot of the early going stuff. The interesting thing about Starcrossed is that it doesn't use any dice mechanics. It's not strictly a storytelling game either. What it uses is a Jenga tower that I am about to set up in a second here. But for right now, we are making our characters. So, the fun thing here is that the characters are split between two different roles. There is the lead and there is the follow. The lead acts intentionally and begins scenes. The follow often acts unintentionally and ends scenes, takes second turn and takes final turn. When you are setting up for Starcrossed, there's a number of different things that need to be established. Obviously, we're going to be playing from our previous scene and from our established lore. One of the fun things about knowing how a story ends is you know how it ends. So We'll be able to play towards that. But first things first, decide what has brought your characters together.
Us working together in the junk drawer.
In junk drawer.
Kyle has walked into this shop and has immediately fallen in love with the proprietor of the business and is very much interested in just being there. They had originally planned on exploring the whole town during their free time, but after visiting the first shop, have decided to just fuck that, I will just stay in this one space all my free time because Windward is beautiful. That is what Kyle has decided to do.
All right, and yeah, Windward has very little choice in this matter. This is gravity, is what's going on here. However, there is something that's keeping them apart. So, the next bit is to decide what is keeping them apart. I don't know where in the feed these episodes are going to come up. You, the dear listener, may know what the fuck's going on. You also may not. I promise you, there is some shit that's going on. That's going to make this make a little bit more sense. Windward does not want to fall in love with this person. Windward has just a number of reasons as to why this is impractical, why this is unsafe, and just can't do it. Is probably hiding behind the shield of, well, we work together, and so it wouldn't be very proper now, would it? So, what's keeping them apart? Windward's fear is what is keeping them apart. So, now we get on to making the characters. In Starcrossed, the characters are divided into two roles. One person is going to play the lead, the other is going to play the follow. The lead is the one who starts the scene. The lead often acts intentionally, and there's a direct through line between what the lead wants and what the lead does. The follow, on the other hand, is going to take the second turn and is going to end scenes, and they often act unintentionally. That through line is a little bit unclear. They get to be kind of the chaos agent a little bit. I think that this is a fun,
which, if you know me,
difference.
I am the chaos agent in this game, usually in games, so it'll be nice to not be the chaos agent for a little bit here, so it's gonna be fun.
Finally, I get the opportunity to try and frustrate Glyza instead of What a delight. So, we have gotten our names and onto the character sheets, as we've established that Kyle is going to be the lead, and Windward is going to be the follow. But is that all that is on the character sheets? No, it is not. So, we've got our names down.
So the first question is, I believe, what is my most attractive feature? I answer that for myself and you answer yours for yourself. And then there's the second one where we answer for each other. So,
Gotcha.
What is my most attractive features, Kyle? I think it's his smile. He has a very nice smile.
Canonically, and for, again, reasons that either are clear or will become clear, Kyle is the most attractive person. And so you have to know that for it to not be Kyle's butt, it is a very good smile.
It is quite a nice smile.
Just, oh, what a...
He has a lot of different smiles, too.
So many different smiles. Oh, what a delight. What is my most attractive feature? I think that the most attractive thing about Windward is the way that they are present for the people that they are interested in. It is their presence, the way that they show up, and the attention that they give. So a presence both in terms of stature and bearing, but also in terms of the intentionality with which they engage with people. So I think it's your question then, for me to answer, but I would love it if you'd read it for me.
What are 2 things about me, or about Kyle, that I don't realize are attractive?
One of them is Kyle's ability to experience and get lost in wonder. Just the genuine enthusiasm that he brings to learning new things and to discovery. So, sense of wonder. And God, he's just got really nice hands. Just oof.
Quite nice hands indeed.
Go. Knew from that handshake when he was hired on. Oh boy. Go, what nice hands. And it's like, it's not just the hands, it's like the hand and the way that it connects to his forearm, which is muscular in a very, very subtle way. I suspect that due to the nature of the things that Kyle gets up to when he's not awake, there's damage on those hands. They've worked. They've done things. Yeah, they're calloused and nicked. And they tell the story of the places that he's been and the things that he's done. And yet they maintain their dexterity, their litheness, their grace and power. Just extremely nice hands. So, Kyle, what are 2 things about me that I don't realize are attractive?
The first one is Kyle's favorite thing, of course, her eyes. And the second one is one of the reasons why he continues to do what he does is when she gets flustered and the shield is dropped. It's really nice to see Windward blush and know that it's because of him. And that's what she that's what he likes about her.
Yep. Okay, so you've got your next question.
Why can't I act on my feelings? So Windward is very intentional. And unless Windward says that it's okay, everything that Kyle is doing is just playful flirting. And he doesn't want to ever reach a point where Windward is like, you've crossed the line. I can't have you around anymore because I don't like you in that way. And he would never do that.
Okay. And do you want to just take that next question, answer why that's important to you?
Because Kyle really likes Horty. And he would rather not have those feelings returned and be around her. And, he just wants to be around her. Whether she likes him back or not, it doesn't matter. He wants her to be happy.
Okay, so for Windward, why can't I act on my feelings? There's an overwhelming amount of fear and uncertainty. Windward has become accustomed to being more or less alone. They've got Laron. They've had dalliances, but they've never had the opportunity to foster an actual love. Not for quite some time. And what if this one goes bad in the way that the last one did? Why grow something just to have to sacrifice it again? Or worse, to have it be taken from you. So why can't I act on my feelings? Fear, uncertainty. And then why is that important to me? Because Kyle deserves better than that. Because he's so beautiful and passionate and so perfect. And deserves more than what he could get from an old demon like me. Okay. So, playing. Time to build the tower.
Hey, building the tower time.
Yeah, alright.
Perfect.
So I have got a Jenga tower set up. The nice thing, if you flip that box over and you just like casually pull it out, they all stack in there so nice.
Nice.
And so I have this Jenga tower constructed. I have it set off to the side of my camera so that it's not in the way. And boy, when it falls, it's gonna make a fucking racket in it.
It's perfect. That's what I want.
Pulling your first bricks. Once the tower is nice and solid, time to knock some holes in it. Take turns pulling 3 bricks each to get started. As you pull a brick, place it on top of the tower. The goal here is to make the tower a little less stable before you start playing scenes. Okay. That's our start.
I just realized how scary this is.
Yeah. This is why like Paranoia uses a Jenga tower instead of dice. Okay. So, scenes. There are 8 potential scenes in a game, each prompted by a short phrase. Start scenes together, deciding where your characters are and what is happening around them. The lead begins scenes with the first move. There's actually lists of moves on the sheets.
Mm-hmm.
And the lead begins the scene with their first move. Takes turns describing your character's actions until the scene is brought to a close. The follow calls an end to the scene whenever they like. Starcrossed plays out as a series of scenes. You'll start with scene 1, and if the tower doesn't fall, end with scene 8. Each scene card has a short prompt.
And you said there were 18?
8.
Oh, 8 cards.
There are 8. Yes.
I guess we can just roll a d8.
No, we actually play them in order.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you play through them in order. Each scene card has a short prompt, like a disagreement becomes heated or close, quiet, and alone on its associated scene card. These prompts are like chapter titles or title cards in a silent film. They give you a sense of what's about to happen without giving too much away. When you move to a new scene, let the prompt shape and inspire your play. Okay, so decide together how the scene starts. This is done collaboratively, like coming up with the initial setting. Work together to think of a situation that feels right for drama. Both take turns making additional moves that let you describe details about the scene. Add dialogue if you... The follower is responsible for deciding when the scene ends. Moves are: take turns describing your characters and the world around them in specific constrained ways. You can describe your character's movements. You can describe in detail the character's environment. If you pull a brick from the tower, you can describe your character touching the other character.
Ooh.
The lead can do this once per scene intentionally and once per game unintentionally.
Once per game? Wow.
You can do that unintentionally once per game. Every time that Kyle touches Windward, they have to mean it.
They have to be intentional. All right.
Yeah. Well, and I can only touch you intentionally once.
That's true.
I can brush up against you as much as I want.
That's true.
This is very fun.
This is going to be interesting.
If If you pull a brick from the tower, you can describe your character revealing something personal. Over the course of each scene, both players will take turns making these moves, pulling bricks. We play until my scene's out, and I think... Also, there's an attraction mechanic. When your character touches the other character, reveal something personal, pull a brick from the tower. When you pull a brick from the tower, fill 1 attraction star on your sheet. If your tower falls, then we add up all of those stars, and that informs the epilogue. I don't even think we need the PDF. We're just playing off the sheet for the rest of this.
Yep.
As we begin scenes.
Yep. I think we just need the scenes itself. The 8 cards, and I think we would be good when we get to the epilogue part later.
Absolutely. So, scene 1. An introduction. So, we were introduced in the Romancing the Stranger game.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to pick up the next day, perhaps?
I actually have an idea.
Okay.
Let's say I've been working there for a while.
Okay.
We've grown close, and it's closing time again. And we're putting stuff away, and I guess that would be a nice scene to pick up on.
I love that. Guess what? You get to make the first move.
That's true. Basically, the last customer has left. It was one of those weird times where it was really busy, and Kyle didn't get to really talk much with Windward at that time. In his head, he's already calling her Wardy, but would never ever say it to her out loud, but is only using it in his head. But has been, taking care, like making sure everything is stocked, even looks at LaRon and is like, as much as LaRon would let Kyle just sort of like pet him a little bit as well, just been moving around doing that. And he then sits on that little couch, that they have at the junk drawer, and calls out to Windward and says, "Windward, would you like to chill out and relax for a little bit?" And then taps the seat next to him.
So, we've described this part of the shop changing in a lot of different scenes.
Mm-hmm.
How is it this time? I know in a scene much later in our lives, it's going to be a love seat that's just large enough for the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
What's the furniture situation right now?
The furniture situation right now is like it's one of those, it's not as comfortable as what it was in later on in our life.
What it will be.
Yeah, what it will be. It's more of like one of those waiting room areas in a doctor's office where, you can sit down and be comfortable, but you can't really be comfortable. So you're just sitting down next to each other, right, kind of thing. There's a lot of space if you so choose to decide to have that space. Mm-hmm. Kyle is very polite and is sitting up straight, not their usual bisexual seating down in other places. But, just wants to sit next to Windward.
Yeah. What I'm picturing in my head is like one of those couches from like the 70s. Like made in the 70s, not like the kind of couch people would have in the 70s that was actually made in the 60s. But like they were single color, very square. The armrests weren't necessarily super comfy.
Mm-hmm.
Because, a doctor's office is going to not have an upholstered couch. It's going to be something that you can spray clean.
Yeah.
But so this is a little bit more comfortable than that, but not like a ton. And I think Windward comes and Windward says from elsewhere in the shop, "Oh, Yes, I've got some time this evening. I think, yeah, like there's a game that night over at Nuke City, so they don't have to lock up right away. No rush. And so they come and sit down, and I think manage to like angle themselves so that his back is in like the corner, and sits with his legs crossed, knee over knee.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily the big one where like your calf is on your knee, but just together, and is angled towards Kyle.
Kyle sees a piece of lint on Windward's shoulder and is going to brush it off. And I'm going to intentionally touch Windward's shoulder.
All right.
So that means
I have to pull a brick.
They will have to pull a brick.
Okay.
It's so hard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 from the top.
13? Okay.
Yes.
Here.
So we're going to try the one on, I believe, your left. Yay!
Sliding out very easy. All right. So you can go ahead and fill in that attraction star.
Yeah. And I say, oh, there's a little bit of lint over there, and I brush it away.
And Windward notices that and sees it as you reach to go do it, and just like almost puts a hand to their chest as you go to brush that off, and says, oh my, that's how careless of me. I've been...
You've been busy.
Yeah. Well, to be so busy as I would miss that. I truly do apologize for not maintaining my appearance.
You don't have to apologize for that.
Windward takes the longest moment and says, I suppose I don't. It's, you'll have to forgive me. I'm not necessarily accustomed to, not really accustomed to being the one in charge. And so I would say that Windward's revealed something about themselves. They have a need for that kind of perfectionism and that like pristine appearance, and almost like they're aghast when they manage to not do that. And they're so aggressively and meticulously tidy that letting that mask slip feels dangerous to them. Gonna go all the way down at the bottom here, and I'm grabbing the middle. We're gonna end up fucking on this couch.
Okay. Kyle will look at you while you're all flustered and smile and say, it's okay to not be in charge sometimes. Look at me, I'm never in charge, and I quite enjoy it.
Windward gets an absolutely devilish smile on and says, yes, now, you do take orders positively wonderfully. However, I think if you were properly motivated, I believe that you could take charge just fine.
It takes someone special to make me take charge. Maybe someone like you. And that is an intentional revealing of something very personal that Kyle is saying to Wordy right here.
I'm a sub.
That is
what is being revealed.
Kyle is, I will absolutely take orders from you now. Tell me what to do.
All right. What brick you want pulled? Where is it relative to this missing brick?
So 2 down.
This one?
From the missing brick.
Okay.
And we're gonna try for the left.
My left, your left.
No, you're right. Sorry. Yes. Oh no, let's try your left. Let's try the middle.
Do you want to go for the middle?
There we go. The middle seems like a safe one.
Okay.
Yay!
Up top. And I think that Windward absolutely bursts out laughing. Gives these guffawing laughs and like just almost doubles over and sets a hand on the cushion next to him. Could we just say that like when you made that comment, you kind of like moved, you repositioned yourself, so instead of sitting straight forward, you actually did decide to sit like a bisexual, and you've got like one of your legs up on the couch, and it just like his hand lands on your mid-thigh.
Yep.
As he says, "Oh, Kyle, you're too sweet and too kind." Oh, good lord. And I'm gonna pull a brick because I have unintentionally touched you.
Sounds great.
Okay, got one here. 6 down from the top. Grabbing a middle. Alright, and then I think after that, their hand does not linger on your thigh. In fact, I think that when they realize, the mask starts to slide back up again, and they don't necessarily move suddenly, but they do sort of retreat back into their corner and finish laughing and say, "Yes, but well, now that we've learned about your predilections and your behavior at certain types of clubs and parties, tell me more about yourself. You know, where are you from? What sort of work have you done previously? You haven't had quite the chance to chat. That it's always been work." And I think like that's the end of the scene.
Oh, okay, it's fine. We can end it. You're the follow, so you can.
Right, but like here to end the scene, like just start telling like what story would Kyle tell as we sort of fade out of this scene.
Kyle will probably tell about the last town that he was staying at. You know, not really giving all the details of his job and why he's running away. Only that, you know, the fun things to do at that little town. That would be the story that he would be telling.
Yeah, as it pulls kind of up past the bookshelves that disappear into the blackness above. Delightful. Okay, so that's one scene. That's 4 stars. I'd say we're doing pretty well.
Yay! I think we are. We're doing great.
And we're on to scene 2, which is a little embarrassment.
Oh, a little embarrassment.
How do we want to start? Who do we want to be embarrassed?
Shall we make Kyle embarrassed?
I think that'd be fun.
Yeah. I think Kyle being embarrassed would be fun. Are we still in the same location, or have we moved to a different place?
It could be either. I think this is an important location for us, and we can like change the details of the environment to portray them getting closer together, which is fun. But we could be somewhere else.
You know what would be fun? If we could be in that same location again, but the chairs are different.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm picturing like the couch has changed. Yeah. So instead of it being that like rigid square design with the upholstered but not necessarily cushioned armrests, it's still a full couch. It's just like the arms are bigger and fluffier and more conducive to just kind of lounging in. And what sort of pattern's on it? Or what color is it?
Polka dot.
It is a polka dot couch.
It's a polka dot couch, and Kyle loves it. Kyle absolutely adores it. It's blue and white and polka dot, and Kyle is sitting there trying to get Laurent to jump on his lap. And it's just like, come on, this is very comfortable. You can come on my lap and let me pet you. I'm really good at petting. That's what Windward would walk in on, just Kyle enticing. Like, there's a lot of little snacks that he's picked up, just trying to entice Laurent to get onto his lap so that he could cuddle Laurent. That's what Kyle is doing.
Enormous rabbit.
Mm-hmm. That's what Kyle is doing, trying to get Laurent to jump on his lap. That's what you walk in on.
Yeah, Windward just breezes in and drops into the other side of the couch before you even, like, you're covered in like papaya treats and fresh, like, there's a couple of fresh strawberries and like all sorts of these little things. Hay. There's kind of a lot of hay scattered around that you've been trying to use. And
he has a carrot in his mouth. Look how delicious this is.
And without you expecting it, without you needing or wanting it, Windward flops into the couch on the other side and says, "No, dear, if you were to come up on you, best to be careful, otherwise the floof on that one will swallow you whole."
Uh-huh. Oh, hi. I just wanted to, pet Laurent and be like, I want to cuddle him so bad. He's been staring and he's big and I just want to cuddle Laurent.
And you thought being suffocated by him was the correct way to go about this?
Absolutely. Getting suffocated is the only way to go.
I think Windward sighs at this and stands up very little, but then goes and sits on the floor in front and reaches a hand out, and Laurent immediately hops over, and Windward starts scratching him behind the ears. "I'm afraid some creatures simply don't like to come when they're called, and you just have to meet them on their terms. Something I've always admired in him." I'm gonna count that as an unintentional reveal.
Okay.
We've been working on one angle of this tower, and I should probably start working on the other side. So we're gonna see how... Nope. Yeah, there we go. 12 rows from the top. And this one is the one that is closest to Gliza.
Perfect.
And it sets as you sitting there, covered in food and hay, on this egregiously loud polka dot couch. You've been working at this for like 15 minutes, half an hour?
Yeah. Probably like almost 45 if we're being honest, and Laurent has just been like condescendingly staring at Kyle and is like, no.
And as soon as Windward went and got on Laurent's level, just immediately, as almost if to spite you, he comes over and is giving it scritches.
Kyle dramatically lies down on the couch, looking just comically defeated, and is just like lying down there and is like, "Laurent, why won't you ever love me? I have been nothing but kind to you. I have been nothing but charming to you." And he looks at Wardy. "What about you? What would make you come to me?" And I will count that as intentionally revealing something personal.
You're trying to make your feelings explicit?
Like, more like joking. But it is, at least he thinks he's joking.
You're probing for it.
But he's doing it in such a comically manner that he has this way of like, no. We're hanging out. We're joking around.
All right, what brick do you want to pull?
From the last one you've pulled, 2 down below it? Yes. Can you try from your side?
Very easy. An excellent pick.
Thank you.
As you're lying on the couch and you're behind Windward's head, as he's scratching Laron. He's going to lean his head back and, like we'll just say that your like elbows are behind your head or something like that, or up in some place. And for a moment, he rests his head against your arm. And you kind of like sense and feel as much as actually see their eyes move, kind of like look up to look at you. And I am going to use my single intentionally touching the lead for the entire game, as in this moment, I am feeling your presence behind me, which means I get to pull. Oh, Jesus. Box myself into a corner here, and this is going to be absolutely buck wild given the next thing that I'm going to try and do. Oh no. Boxing myself into a corner here. We're going to have to start moving up the tower. Oh, hey. Okay, this is perfect. So I pulled the center brick out of 9 from the bottom, and the brick on top of that pretty much came out with it. So that's 8 from the bottom, my right, Glyza's left. And I'm going to set both of these back on top here, because you're not going to like this. Because Windward rests their head against your arm and looks at you for just a moment, and then stands up and says, I'm doing my best not to simply be the kind that comes when they're called. And then Windward walks away. And that's the scene.
Oof.
I'm going to count that as unintentionally revealing something. No. Is that unintentionally revealing something?
It's intentionally revealing something.
So, I've used up all of my intentional things and moved 2 bricks.
That's perfect.
And you've got, you struck out with Laron.
I got fully embarrassed. I struck out with Laron and with Windward.
Well, on to the next scene, which is finding common ground.
Let's say it's been a week, and Kyle has been very quiet, remembering the words that were spoken. And Kyle has been keeping to himself. Kyle is a sensitive person, so for him, when he had tried to, joke around, to suddenly be left like that, it sort of, he would never say it, but he did feel hurt about it, and is trying to make sure that he doesn't cross that line again with her, and is just, keeping professional, and, just when the store is closing, leaves immediately kind of thing, just making sure that, trying to get back to that professional thing.
Spending more time with Hess, ostensibly, and not necessarily doing that.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah. But tonight is a little different. Kyle misses Windward. After just a week of trying to, staying away, he goes, do you want to have a cup of coffee with me?
Windward has been going over something on the counter. It's not the fantasy sharper image catalog. It's something that is a little bit more hefty and a little bit less frivolous. They also haven't turned a page in a while, and looks up and says, coffee. And looks around, almost as though they're noticing the book in front of them for the first time. Look over and say, yes, let's... Sure, absolutely. Shuts the book and says, lead on.
Perfect. I don't know anything about coffee. I'm going to have to rely on you on this. I bought very fancy coffee beans that we're going to make in the shop And I'm going to rely on Zad, our coffee guy, because I am not a coffee person. And all I do is that. I make a wonderful cup of coffee for both, 2 cups of coffee for both me, from both Kyle and Windward. And it is hopefully delicious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, I mean, we're getting into the evening. We're definitely in dark roast territory. The shop that I work at has a really nice Peruvian dark roast, but that almost feels, I don't know, there's a little bit like that's almost a little bit too lively as a dark roast. Maybe a Colombian. I'm getting lost in the weeds of coffee stuff here, but
how about if you could tell me what's something that is, somebody would buy because they think somebody had told them this is the most delicious one and it's rich and nice and whatever. And Kyle knows nothing about coffee. Like I know nothing about coffee, but absolutely trusted this person, only saying, I want the most expensive one you have, that anyone would be like, this is rather nice, without really thinking about whether it's good for the moment or not. That is what Kyle gets.
Yeah. God, it almost like the thing that feels the most right is like you got an espresso roast. Like it is ultra dark, and then you got whole beans, and then you had to dig out this old hand grinder that Windward had.
Kyle absolutely YouTubed how to do this. That's what he did.
Right. And here's the thing, is it's a magical accoutrements shop. And so the hand grinder that you found, when you used it, you found that it ground the coffee into 2 different densities. Like after you cranked it, you went to go dump it out, and there was an amount of it that was like a fine powder, and some more that was actually these like kind of medium large flakes. And how would you have known this? I think Windward actually came over and saw like the you were like, oh hey, I got these special beans, and once you were done grinding it, she came over and looked over your shoulder and was like, oh, well, that's fascinating, and goes over into the office where there is an espresso machine set up, grabs a French press, pulls a sieve out of a drawer, and shakes the grounds that you just made into a bowl through the sieve, and the sieve separates out the flakes from the powder. The flakes go into the French press, which gets filled with room temperature water. The fine powder grounds she scoops out into 2, how do you describe a portafilter? Like the espresso machines, the things that the actual grounds go in. She scoops out amounts into either of those and tamps them and puts them in, or just one thing, and puts it into the machine, and takes 2 very small cups and sets them next to each other to brew, as the beans that you poured out and ground are now being made into these 2 individual, we'll say like shot and a half espresso cups, and the other ones are just being left in this French press. And once they're done, she offers you one of the cups. It says, how do you take your coffee?
At this time, Kyle has been just staring at Windward as she prepares all of these things and smiles and says, sweet. I would like it sweet.
Are we going to count that as unintentionally revealing something?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's your 1 for the game?
Yep.
What brick do you want pulled?
The 7th one, from the top. Can you try from my side?
Middle's good. Let's do the middle.
Yeah, let's do.
Windward has a jar of sugar. I think they've got cubes. They pull a lid off of a dish in the office here, and picks up one cube, looks at you, and then breaks the cube in half, and drops half in, and stirs it with a very small whisk, hands you that one, picks up their own cup, and like takes a sniff of the coffee, looks at you again, and then picks up the half of a sugar cube that was left and puts it in and says, "Sweet, sounds rather pleasant tonight."
Yeah. Would you sit with me?
Yes, I would.
That'd be nice. I like sitting with you. And I'm gonna take that as intentionally revealing something, Chris.
Okay.
Can you go down to the bottom again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7?
Yes.
It's the only one that was coming. I hope you don't mind that I took the liberty.
No, go ahead.
Yikes.
Oh my god.
Boy, this is going to be absolutely insane to listen to. Just like descriptions of brick locations and then silence. Yeah, goof. And we go back, and is the blue and white polka dot couch the same pattern as the love seat that we're going to see in the future?
I don't think we described that. It could be.
We never did. It feels a little bit too obvious to me. I like something that's a little bit more... I like something that's almost like a little bit more Baroque in like the way that the pattern plays out. I think it's like... So the pattern has shifted. It is still the same kind of overstuffed couch. But in this case, it's this... Dear listener, Google Baroque filigree is what I'm thinking of. It's not quite the ostentatious and frankly over-designed kind of Rococo, lots of points, but like it's leafy in a certain way. It's like streamlined leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Midway, I guess, between Rococo and Art Nouveau, where it's curves and hints at being inspired by nature and symmetrical patterns. And that is kind of the polka dots are no longer that. I presume white polka dots?
Yeah.
So blue couch and now this white Baroque brocade pattern on it that is perfectly symmetrical. And it starts off as a long couch, and there are end tables to either side. Each one has a lamp on it, and Kyle and Windward sit opposite one another and are taking sips of their espresso. And I think Windward just starts talking. Says, you know, shortly after those who had been sent along to go and reclaim, big heavy air quotes, their holy land during the Crusades, they discovered coffee traveling through, well, I suppose now it's Turkey and through Arabia, the Fertile Crescent, all those sorts of places. And they found it, and they found that it was a bitter drink that gave the people that they had decided their enemies the energy and the focus and the mindset to study, to produce great works. The library at Baghdad truly was a horror to see burned.
Yeah.
anyways, they found their beans and they had them ground into their sand or the powder or very, very fine powder, as the Turkish do these days. And they brought it home and they presented it to the Pope. And they said, "This is a heathen drink. Have it excommunicated. Have it driven out from our lands, because it is not ours, and therefore we ought to see it driven away." And the Pope took one drink and rather decided to canonize it. Declared that it was so good that they, the Catholics, ought to make it their own. They've had a rather good run at it. It's a beautiful drink. Led to Enlightenment philosophy and, well, quite frankly, any sort of alternative to beer or gin, for those absolute sots, and perhaps they ought to have had the bean excommunicated at that point. It's caused them no end of trouble, let me tell you. It's such a wonderful thing that changes in so many beautiful and magical ways. At this time of night, I suspect when you drink that down, you'll be up to all hours of the evening. I do hope that your friend Hess does not intend to get any sleep. I'm sure you'll be energetic and ready to bother her. But the other grind, the coarser one, the one that we made, this, obviously the powder, it causes the drink to become strong rather quickly.
Mm.
And as you can taste, it tastes rather strongly. But that coarser grind that you got, that's a different thing entirely.
Oh? How so?
Yes. Well, in terms of preparation, with less surface area, there's less that the water can cling to, pull away all of the little bits of, I guess, what it is that makes coffee. And so if we were to brew it through this process, we would be drinking, imagine if LaCroix were to make coffee.
Ah.
However, when you leave it to brew, or leave it to steep, more like, it does not even require heat. By tomorrow morning, we'll have a delightfully creamy cold coffee that we'll be able to share. Just as this evening we're sharing one that is warm and intense and very sweet.
Have you finished drinking?
I think they finish it in one go. They just drink the rest of it.
Kyle is going to hold out his hand and silently ask for the cups.
Windward is going to pass their cup back. And if our fingers
Will absolutely linger.
do we pull 2 bricks?
Yeah, because I'm intentionally touching.
And I am unintentionally just not being careful. So let me fill in 2 more stars here. I'm gonna pull for me first,
Okay.
and then we'll pull for you next. Because that's the end of that scene. If this motherfucker lasts. Oh, doggy. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 from the top. And I'm pulling the one that's on my side.
Okay.
Oh, easy. Your turn. Intentionally knocking the tower over is a valid move.
I understand that. I'm counting my stars.
Oh, are we shooting for the best possible ending?
I don't know yet. We'll see.
We know how this story ends regardless. It's just all flavor.
I understand.
But
Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 from the top and try for the middle. No.
I can't push that back in either.
Try from the sides.
I don't know that we can. Let me recheck the rules.
We did it!
We're halfway there. Gotta set it down first.
We'll be fine.
Okay, we made that scene. Wow.
How many stars do you have?
6.
Yep, I have 6 too, so we now have 12.
We're at 6 and 6 by my count.
Yeah.
The next scene is hard at work.
Okay. It's busy at the shop. For whatever reason, people keep coming in and out, and Kyle is busy stocking and restocking, and Windward is, talking to customers. It's a busy time.
It's like a couple of hedge witches from 2 counties over that are coming in and like they're looking for specialty ingredients, and it's just like, well, let me get out the book. Are you using the proper names or the names that I have cataloged here? It's a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
Things are moving pretty quickly.
In the hubbub, Kyle is carrying a lot of things and is focused on making sure they're all balanced, and accidentally walks into Windward, and things start flying. And that is me unintentionally touching Windward.
Oh, bold move right off the top.
Yep. Let's do it. Is there anything from the bottom?
This third row has all 3 of its bricks. The middle could work.
Yeah, let's try the middle. Haha.
Easy. So you've got all of these things in your hands.
Mm-hmm.
Things have begun to fly scattered, and things kind of go up in the air. And with a quickness that you just like don't generally expect out of Windward, they start catching things. You had a box that was like a couple of jars and a book and a necklace of like rodent skulls, we'll say. And Windward is like catching these things and then manages to keep everything from hitting the ground. And then the heel on their shoe breaks.
Oh.
And they start to fall, and they fall back into Kyle. And I am unintentionally touching you. As you... I suppose it's your choice if you catch me or not.
I will be catching you, so I will be intentionally touching you. So, let's do 2.
Yes. It's this one here, which means that this is the one. So, 7 from the top, above that extremely tricky one from 2 turns ago. I'm able to pull that out. The one facing Glyza. That one goes on top, so there's 1. And so, like, you're intentionally touching me.
Yep.
I could have made it with just sort of an arm around your shoulders. Where are you putting your hands?
On your waist. Just full on making sure that you're stable and you're not falling down. And making sure that, I can steady you. And I only let you go until, like, you're able to stand on your own. And even then, just takes, like, a few seconds before he lets go.
Which brick would you like to have pulled?
Can you do the opposite of the side you just pulled out of?
Maybe. Yes. Windward steadies themselves and manages to get everything that they caught over to one arm, and then moves her arm from around your shoulders and sort of places it on your wrist as your hands are on their waist. Touching somebody's waist is such a strangely intimate place to put your hands. If you are ballroom dancing, it's like, oh yeah, no, this is fine. It's where your hand is supposed to be. But at least for me, it's not putting your hand on someone's butt.
Yeah.
It's not like groping them. But it is like when you hit somebody's belt line, there's a quality to it that is like, it is the estuary of inappropriateness, potentially, for a public situation. You know, obviously you should never touch somebody without consent, but you need to know a few things about how somebody wants to be touched before you get your hands on their waist.
Yeah.
And when Windward places their hand on your wrist, the end of the motion is pulling your hand away, but the beginning of the motion is them squeezing your wrist. And there's a hesitation between those spaces that is saying, I want your hand here, and I cannot have it. And that's not spoken. That's not what they wanted to do. They wanted to just reassure you that you were fine, that they were fine. And instead, she has told you too much. And so, unintentionally revealing something personal. And I've got a pretty good brick from the bottom. It's 11 rows up from the bottom, my side. And I think that's the scene?
That's a good scene.
That's a good scene. That sucks. I want to kiss him. I gotta keep fighting this and I want to kiss him. So, next one I've got is scene 5. Mm-hmm. Close, quiet, and alone. If I could set the scene.
Go ahead.
We are back in the corner that has the couch. And it's the royal blue and white Baroque brocade couch. And Windward is sitting on one side with one knee up and the other leg like sort of dangling down, almost touching the floor, and is reading a book. And Kyle is on the other side of the couch. What sort of thing would he be doing if they were just sort of taking a quiet evening here together?
Kyle would be drawing. Nothing specific, nothing, no person, no. It's just doodling circles over and over again.
Sketchbook, notebook.
Just a sketchbook, yeah. That they had, grabbed somewhere. And it's just different kinds of things, feathers, just whatever he could think of. He'd be doing that. He'd be drawing that.
LaRon is laid out in front of the couch at our feet. And I think his head's actually on your side.
Yeah.
Whenever you wanted to take a break from sketching, you can go down and pet him. And couches are like 6 or 7 feet long. LaRon is very big, but even very big is 4 feet. And he's decidedly within both of our space. Because a love seat is about 5 feet wide. And it's just not quite a couch anymore.
No.
And our knees are very close together.
Kyle is gonna look at LaRon. And is gonna look at Windward. And is going to say out loud, "We've come so far, haven't we?"
Windward looks up and looks at the couch and looks at Kyle and says, "Well, what do you mean?"
"We've come so far from when we first met."
"All the way from the front of the shop to the back."
"Closer." That's intentionally revealing something personal.
Fill in that star.
Is there anything at all from the bottom that's full, or are they all light? Is there one facing you?
Yes, in row 5.
Can
that would leave just the middle brick, but yeah. Turns out I'm pretty good at this game.
You are.
Windward shifts and straightens her posture and retreats almost further into the corner of the couch at the same time as the couch itself, we as the audience see, contracts. As she moves her knee further away, the couch pulls in so that they maintain precisely the same amount of distance. Windward cannot get away from this. This place in the shop, it is a place where it is the thing that Windward needs. It is the place that Windward wants. And it is a thing that ought to be in their control that is rebelling against them as they keep trying to pull away. And that's, I'm gonna call that unintentionally revealing something. I can see your face. This is like... Glyza looks devastated with every single one of these. Okay. So, you pulled the one facing me 5 up from the bottom. I'm going to 6 up from the bottom, and I'm pulling this one on the left. And as I am pulling it, the tower itself is shifting, but I'm not going to stop. If this is how we die, this is how we die. Brick is out.
Nice.
The tower is actually askew now. It's like pivoted a little bit on the axis of the bricks that are just like the centers of rows 5 and 6 from the bottom. And it's not squared up as we complete row 26.
I want everyone to know that Zad looks disappointed as the tower is completed.
It's not the end of the scene, though. I'm gonna sit here forever. It is your move. You can describe your character's movement or fill in, describe detail of the scene. Because you have used your reveal something personal for the scene.
Yeah, but I haven't intentionally touched you yet. As the couch moved closer, Kyle can't stop himself from just raising his hands and slowly touching your face. Just says, what are you afraid of? And let's try and pull a brick. Can you try 8 on the other side, please?
Brick is out.
Can you tell me how many I have on intentionally touching you? With the stars?
I believe that's 4. So that's 10 for you, and it's about to be 10 for me. As Windward grabs your wrist in the same way as last scene. That same feeling where the end motion is to move your hand away, but the initial touch says, I want to keep your hand here. And in the middle is the wanting of the thing that you cannot have. And as they move your hand off of their face, the couch shrinks again. And rather than your hand moving away from their face, it slides around the shaved hair on their head and is on the back of their head. And suddenly their other hand is on your hip, and our faces are so close together because the couch shrank exactly like that. And what Windward says is, I've been scared for a long time. Scared of everything falling apart. but I don't want to play this game anymore.
Then kiss me.
And then they kiss.
Tempus Multae is a production of Pseudonym Social, changing reality one story at a time. It is an actual play podcast using Urban Shadow's 2E Quick Start Guide, and it's set once again in the town of Oak Ridge, Tennessee. I am your keeper and producer.
Hello everyone, it's Casey again. I'll be playing Cass Pravda, the Oracle Playbook.
My name is Zadkiel, or just Zad. In this game, I am going to be playing Windward Pudge, and they are using the Imp playbook.
Hi there, I'm Maria Perry. I'm playing Millie Elza, your local vampy vampire.
I am Blaze, and I'll be playing Jason Madison Coleman, the Aware.
Sup, y'all? I'm Fennec Foxfire. I will be playing Hess, playing from the Book of the Wizard.
Hi, I'm Glyza. I will be playing Kyle of the Tainted Playbook.
I am Ava Rogers. I will be playing Angel Day, the Sworn.
To get more information on this or any of our other shows, check out our website at pseudonymsocial.com.